From there we cut to Nemesis and the others arriving at the edge of a cliff. This is a location provided by the coordinates. He glances around in confusion. After a moment, 5 familiar pillar-shaped items fly up from a hidden alcove. They arrange themselves in a circular formation and activate, opening a space bridge portal in midair. Nemesis hesitates at first, and then enters the portal, followed by his soldiers and the trailer. On the other side of the portal is a dimly lit laboratory filled with stasis pods, dissection tables, and cages containing various creatures both robotic and organic. Some a mixture of both. It's a textbook mad scientist's lair. Welcome, Nemesis Prime. Nemesis starts at the voice coming from the shadows. What is this place? My laboratory. Is this where I came to be? This is where the idea of you was conceived, before I placed it, and the means to create you, into the mind and hands of Joshua Joyce. The humans possessed what I needed to ensure that you came to be in a timely manner. Numbers. All I needed to provide were the ideas and the resources. It has taken 5 stellar cycles to perfect you, but now you are ready. For what? Why, to live, of course, and to claim your destiny. And what is my destiny? To rule Cybertron at my side. You know Cybertron, do you not? I see images of a planet all made of metal. Optimus Prime once called it home. It was not Prime alone who called Cybertron home. Once countless beings did, until the war, when the millennia-long feud between Optimus Prime and Megatron tore our home apart. Our home, not their home. Ah, yes. Allow me to introduce myself. A gargantuan figure emerges from the shadows, a single golden eye staring out from an otherwise blank face on a horned head. A large cannon dominates the left arm of the figure, and his coloration is a deep violet hue. I am Shockwave, your creator, your master, and the successor to Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. Shockwave, I know you. Or Prime does. Yes, Prime and I have a history. Not as storied as his past with Megatron, but eventful nonetheless. I do not understand. You created me and these others. Why? The Decepticons are scattered to the winds after the death of their leader. Megatron's demise has all but sounded the death knell for the cause. Several factions have arisen among their ranks in his absence, lacking a strong leader to unify them. Soundwave, though loyal to his master's memory, lacks the charisma necessary to lead beings sufficiently. Starscream, he has ambition, but he lacks wisdom. In his mind, the Decepticons should bend the knee to him for no other reason than he ordered them to. Cyclonus possesses the correct attributes to lead, but lacks the devotion of his followers. And Bludgeon, he rules by fear alone. Many Decepticons refuse to align themselves with any of these claimants, lacking the certainty that any of them will sufficiently walk in Megatron's footsteps. I intend to make a claim of my own, but to do so I require something none of the others have. An army. Logic dictates that the side with the greatest numbers wins the war, save for rare deviations. You desire an army, and so you allowed the humans to construct us. Indeed. Of course, 100 soulless prototypes is hardly an army. No, I will require much more if I am to stake my claim. And I will need more than programming. I will need loyalty. Hence why I had you bring Prime to me. Of course, I did not anticipate that the first step would have accomplished itself. What do you mean? Allow me to tell you some history of our homeworld. There are but two sources of pure energon in all the universe. Two artifacts with the ability to create life from nothing. The first was the Allspark, the primary source of life on Cybertron. But the Allspark's energy was dispersed, seeding this planet with a rich supply of energon. Useful, but insufficient to create life. The Star Harvester in Egypt is powered by pure cyber matter, which possesses the ability to restore lost life, but not to create new life. Only one thing left in existence can accomplish such a feat, and Optimus Prime carries it within his chest. The Matrix of Leadership. Yes, that is what it has come to be known as. But its original name, from the beginning of Cybertron's history, is the Creation Matrix. According to the legends contained in the archives of Iacon and the Covenant of Primus, it was the power of the Matrix that allowed Primus to create the 13. This artifact came from Primus's home, from whence he originally hailed. Like him, it was imbued with the very power of creation. But all those who were created by the Matrix would one day return to it when their sparks expired. The same is true of those who bear it. This is why it contains what the Autobots call the collective wisdom of the Primes. It is what houses their sparks, all that is left of their being. The Matrix has not been used to give life since the creation of the Allspark, instead serving as a symbol of leadership and a receptacle for the souls of fallen Primes, empowering each new generation with greater power. If Optimus allowed himself to, he could possess all the power of every Prime, including the late Sentinel. But when you attempted to pierce Prime's spark, your sword struck the Matrix instead. To protect itself and its bearer from destruction, the Matrix lashed out, sending pure energon flowing into your very being. Had you been a Cybertronian or any other living creature, this would have destroyed you. But you were soulless, lifeless, sparkless, and so instead this caused a chain reaction within you, igniting, for the first time in 1,000 stellar cycles, a new spark. You, Nemesis Prime, are the first of a new generation of Cybertronians, and this new generation will be my army. Then, you had me bring Prime to you, so you could grant sparks to the others. You are a quick learner.
Cut back to the Autobots. We see Prowl pacing up and down while Drift sharpens his swords and Bulkhead cleans his various weapons. Wheeljack is patching up Hot Rod after having fixed himself sufficiently. Though he's more engineer and inventor than medic, he's capable of at least basic maintenance. Hot Rod is angry at himself for going down so quickly in the fight, feeling that he should have done better. Without Prime around, this team is going to take on a very Transformers animated feel, with Prowl serving as Prime, Drift as Prowl, Wheeljack as Ratchet, Hot Rod as Bumblebee, and Bulkhead as himself. B will serve a similar role to Jazz, being more steady. He's also the only bot with no beef with any other, and none of them have any beef with him. He's come a long way from the reckless young scout who tried to take on Megatron alone and paid the price.
Will you stop that pacing, Prowl? You grinded my gears.
Well, forgive me, Bulkhead. I don't see you doing anything useful.
Pacing is useful?
I'm trying to think of a plan. Some way to find Prime and save him. Can't Teletran help with that?
No dice. Prime's signal vanished less than an hour ago. Wherever Shockwave's lair is, it's shielded from energon sensors.
Explains how he's evaded both Nest and Cemetery Wind for so long.
Shockwave's always been 5 steps ahead of everyone, including Megatron. He's likely been planning this since Chicago, if not before. Both the Elite Guard and the Wreckers tried to take him in back on Cybertron. Both operations were total failures.
I remember that op. A lot of good bots went offline that day, including our CO, Impactor.
This, Shockwave, sounds like something else.
If something else is human slang for a complete monster, then you're right. Tessa asks how they can hope to defeat someone like that. The same way Team Prime beat Megatron back in Chicago. You seem to have forgotten that Team Prime had the advantage of surprise, not to mention close to double our numbers and some of the greatest warriors Cybertron had ever seen. And most of them died that day. If Megatron hadn't turned on Sentinel, chances are the cons would have won. Here we are, no Jazz, no Ironhide, no Chromia, no Skids, no Ratchet. Primus only knows where RC, Jetfire, and Mirage are, and Prime's in the snare of the enemy. What I wouldn't give for the Elite Guard to be here now.
I'm sure you'd love that, Prowl.
What the slag is that supposed to mean? Maybe you'd be better equipped with a bunch of other dipsticks in the mud on your side. I might just at that. Those dipsticks at least follow orders, and don't charge into a hostage situation guns or swords blazing. You were the one who wanted to go to war with the humans. And if I were calling the shots, I may have authorized you taking action. Careful, reasonable action. But I wasn't in charge. Prime was. And as our commanding officer, it's our duty to follow Prime's directive. And on top of that, even were I in command, I'd never have authorized such a reckless, fragged in the processor action as the one you took.
At least Drift took action.
What was that, bulkhead? Enough! You're bickering like bots just off the assembly line. Arguing isn't going to get us anywhere. Acting won't get us anywhere either. We're outmatched against those knockoffs. They're soulless, emotionless, nothing holds them back. Not to mention they work better as a team than we ever will. Prowl's right. We're no Team Prime or Elite Guard. We aren't even wreckers. An ex-Decepticon, a washed-up wrecker, a scientist who just broke out of prison, and me. A dumb rookie who went down before the fight even started. B and Prowl are about the only ones qualified for this. Would you stop feeling sorry for yourselves? Like it or not, guys, you're Earth's best hope at this point. Earth's best hope? Why should we give a single slag about this mudball? Maybe because this mudball is our home too now, Prowl. Or if that's not enough, because we're supposed to defend life in all its forms. Remember? Freedom is the right of all sentient beings? Prowl and the others go silent. Having Prime's words thrown in their faces is enough to give them pause. Bumblebee's right. We have to stop Shockwave. That's a given. So let's put our engine blocks together and think of something. Here's an idea. We can monitor KSI's and Cemetery Wind's comms. They're in communication with their Benefactor all the time. Maybe we can trace the signal next time they call in. It's a long shot. Shockwave may have his comms encrypted. But it's a start. Do it, Wheeljack. Autobots, stand by to roll out. From there, we cut back to Attinger. He has attempted to contact Joyce, but to no avail. KSI's CEO is already on his flight. As he hangs up in frustration, Savoy enters the room.
Any luck? No. Either he's ignoring me, or he's already in flight. Well, I've had luck on my end. Out with it, then. I had to put our communications with this Benefactor through every kind of decryption software available to us, but I was able to pinpoint his general location. Where? Hong Kong.
Attinger swears coarsely, which I am not going to do because I want this video to be monetized.
Close to the backup factory, if not right on top of it. Pack your bags, James. We need to get there stat.
We then cut to Hong Kong, where Joyce is exiting his private plane. He is met by some of his employees who tell him that transference of most of the other drones has been successful, but that their energon detectors cannot read the Rogue 5's location. We then go back to Shockwave's lair, where Optimus gains consciousness. As his vision clears, he sees his doppelganger sat in front of him, a look of curiosity in his crimson eyes.
There is such darkness within you. I am not unique in that, but you do not let it control you. You have experienced more agony, more betrayal, more sorrow than most beings experience in 10 lifetimes. By rights, you should despise the universe and all who dwell therein. Yet still you offer mercy to your enemies. You protect the humans after all they've done to you and yours. And you still mourn Megatron as if he were your brother, not your hated enemy. Why? How? How I cannot tell you. But why? That is easier to answer. All sentient beings deserve the right to choose their fates. And the greatest choice is the choice to change. I must believe that, however unlikely, all beings can choose the path of good. That is why I take lives only when I am given no other choice, in instances where it is kill or be killed, or where I must protect those under my charge. That is why I still defend humanity, even after this insidious betrayal. And that is why I yet mourn one whom I once called brother. Even to the end, I found myself wishing that he would choose peace, that I could change his mind, not be forced to extinguish his spark. You show resilience. I have only been online for a day, and already I see something different in you. It would seem that you and I share a spark, perhaps due to your design being patterned after mine, or perhaps because a part of my essence flowed through the Matrix when it gave you life. You have my memories, my lifetime's journey within your processor. But my life is not yours. You are sentient. You have your own life ahead of you. Let me go, and I can help you. I can teach you to lay aside the darkness and choose the path of light.
Nemesis seems to ponder his words, but then shakes his head.
I cannot free you. It is not my choice to do so. Then whose choice is it?
Mine.
Shockwave emerges from the shadows. Optimus's eyes narrow.
Shockwave.
Hello, Prime.
So, this scheme is your doing. I knew the humans could not be working alone. An operation like this requires knowledge, resources, and depravity. You have all three in abundance.
Perceptive, Prime. And considering your clone's current status, I presume you can perceive why I had you brought here as well.
You plan to use the Matrix to give life to these others, to create your own team of Decepticons, ones loyal only to you.
You know me too well.
Your ambition was always greater than the sum of your parts, Shockwave, second only to Megatron's own.
I am second to no one, least of all that up-jumped laborer.
And so the mask has fallen. With your master dead, the loyal sycophant has died as well.
The mask had its uses, but it is illogical to maintain it now. I followed Megatron simply because he was the most logical option. He was strong, cunning, charismatic, and capable. A far cry from idiots like Starscream or Bludgeon. But he was never going to be the best long-term leader. A warlord is less effective in peacetime. Of course, you did me a favor, Prime, by removing him from the board early. Assassinations are often needlessly complicated. In his wake, you left a power vacuum, one I intend to fill.
And to do so, you require an army.
3 for 3, Optimus.
You betrayed your own kind, allowed the shells of Autobot and Decepticon alike to be desecrated for your ambition. You are more twisted than I could have ever imagined.
Flattery will get you nowhere. Nemesis Prime, prepare our guest. It is time for your brethren to receive their sparks.
Nemesis hesitates slightly before acquiescing. Optimus watches him sorrowfully. Back with the Autobots, Wheeljack has the Sky Spy up and running. After a few minutes of scanning, he gets a ping on Attinger's phone. Prowl, that Attinger fella's scrambling a jet. Sounds like he's about to blow a gasket.
Where's the jet going?
Hong Kong, it looks like. The bots look at each other.
Think that's where Prime is?
It's a lead. That's what matters. How the slag are we gonna get there?
Good point. We don't have the means to move overseas swiftly.
Actually, we do. The bots turn to look at Bumblebee. Wheeljack, remember the shuttle we cloaked to escape the Decepticons back in Chicago?
Yeah? Oh, you sharp as ever, Bee. Mind cluing me into what you two are ranting about?
We're not far from where we hid that shuttle before launching our attack on the cons. We never came back for it, so unless Cemetery Wind or the cons have found it,
it should still be there.
I will be the first to admit that this isn't the tightest plot point. If I were to go back, I'd probably solve this by removing the Hong Kong aspect entirely, move Shockwave's lab to somewhere in the Americas. But I write these scripts in segments, so the KSI backup location being in Hong Kong was already established. So I have to settle for a less polished plot point in order to get the bots overseas. Anyway, the bots, Cade and Tessa, go to the coordinates and find the shuttle still cloaked. We get a moment between Cade and Tessa where the two of them finally start to open up to each other. Back with Shockwave and the Primes, Optimus is hooked up to a machine that is connected to his spark chamber. The machine connects to 5 converted stasis pods, 4 of which now house the still sparkless KSI drones.
Nemesis Prime's direct contact with the Matrix caused something of a transference of consciousness between the two of you. Unexpected, but I doubt it will be a repeat issue. This machine will transfer the pure life energy of the Matrix directly to these bots, giving them sparks and consciousness all their own.
The Matrix will never answer to you, Shockwave.
Perhaps not, but it is known to put out quite a bit of energy when its bearer's spark is threatened.
With that, he throws a switch. The machine activates, sending a pulse of energon through Optimus's body. He lets out a cry of anguish as he is subjected to this. All the pain seems to be for naught, however, as the Matrix does not respond.
Perhaps it requires more.
He turns a few dials and the energon surge grows in intensity. Prime's howls of agony grow louder, but the Matrix still does not respond.
Illogical. That pulse was strong enough to take a Predacon offline. It should have been more than sufficient to trigger the Matrix's defense mechanism.
As I said, it will never answer to you, Shockwave, even if you kill me.
You are behind this somehow. Yes. The Matrix responds to your will. You are resisting me.
Optimus remains silent, glaring at the one-eyed Decepticon.
Then it is only logical that your will should be broken first.
He activates the machine again. Prime screams echo through the lair. Nemesis Prime watches in horror. Shockwave continues increasing the voltage. Nemesis clutches the side of his head to block out the screams, but he finds himself feeling echoes of the pain. He discovers that he is connected to Optimus in a manner not dissimilar to twins like Sideswipe and Sunstreaker. What Prime feels, he feels on a somewhat lesser level. When Sentinel killed Sunstreaker, Sideswipe literally felt it in his own spark. The trauma couldn't outright kill him, but it definitely wounded him. As the machine's torment grows, it reaches a point that Nemesis cannot take anymore. He storms toward the machine and tears it free, opening Prime's spark chamber in the process. The Matrix comes loose and falls to the ground. Optimus falls limp, and Nemesis collapses to his knees. Shockwave stalks over to the Dark Prime.
Explain yourself, Nemesis Prime.
I felt it. I felt his pain.
Unexpected.
Nemesis groans and raises his head. He looks down at the Matrix. He reaches out and picks it up. As his fingers brush it, the Matrix glows. Both Nemesis and Shockwave are awestruck.
Most unexpected.
Nemesis rises to his feet.
It would seem that I no longer need to rely on Optimus.
He turns to look at the unconscious Prime. We cut to Optimus being thrown into a large pit elsewhere on the ship. The pit closes over his head. His eyes flicker to life and he struggles to his knees. He activates the headlights on his chest and they illuminate the chamber slightly. As he tries to weakly rise, a grumbling growl comes from the darkness of the cell. Optimus glances around. Another growl as a large, spiky shape moves through the shadows. A shrill screech comes from above, joined by a deep lowing both from on high and low to the ground. As he struggles to his feet, he sees 5 sets of orange eyes staring at him from the darkness. One of the pairs moves towards him, huge, lumbering footsteps accompanying them. A massive 3-toed foot makes itself visible. From beneath the eyes, a massive, toothy maw opens, a maw that seems to be aflame. A mighty roar shakes the cell as 5 great metallic beasts lumber into view. A pterodactyl, an ankylosaurus, a triceratops, a brachiosaurus, and a tyrannosaurus rex. The 5 monsters glare down at the weakened Optimus Prime, whose tired blue eyes look upwards in alarm. The T-Rex lets out another roar and all 5 breathe fire into the air in a show of dominance.
Dinobots, destroy intruder. That voice, it cannot be. Dinobots, transform!
The Dinobots change into their robot forms that Optimus finds familiar despite their strange alt modes. They, however, do not seem to recognize Optimus. Their leader raises a flaming sword above his head and lurches towards Prime.
Grimlock, wait!
Grimlock pauses, confusion in his eyes.
How do you know Grimlock's name? It is I, Optimus Prime. Prime?
The Dinobots look at each other, and then back to Optimus.
Thought you were dead. No, I yet live, Slag. Though it surprises me to find the 5 of you alive. Sludge, Snarl, Swoop, Slag, Grimlock. Last I knew, you went missing after hunting down Shockwave. We searched everywhere for you, but found nothing. Shockwave took us below Cybertron's surface. Took us, hurt us, broke us, made us into this.
As Grimlock speaks, a flashback of the Dinobots, previously the Lightning Strike Coalition, storming Shockwave's lab on Cybertron shows. We see them taking down several Decepticon soldiers before breaking into Wave's main lab where they are subdued swiftly by the Decepticon scientist. We see a prolonged period of experimentation and exposure to dinosaur fossils that changes them from ordinary robots into Dinobots.
Carried us on his ship to this planet.
We see an exodus from Cybertron on a science vessel that contains several experiments, both failed and successful.
Then, you've been here ever since he arrived. Yes. This grieves me, my friends, to think that all this time you could have roamed free with the rest of us. Shockwave treated us like beasts, fed us scraps of energon, threw unwanted prisoners into our cage. He intended to dispose of me. Instead, he may have sealed the means of his destruction.
Huh?
Shockwave is guilty of many crimes, my friends, against us and against humanity. He must be made to pay for them. Together, I believe we may yet be able to exact justice on our enemy. Why should Dinobots listen to Prime? Yes, Dinobots are stronger. Strength can only take you so far. With no direction, your strength has led you to remain imprisoned here. Tried to escape many times. Shockwave captured us again. Pit door shielded. So Swoop can't fly out. Walls thick like Snarl's armor cannot break. And what of the maintenance shafts?
He gestures to shafts about halfway up the pit.
Too small. Cannot fit. You can't. I can. The ship is Dreadnought class, just converted into a science vessel. The maintenance shafts are designed to accommodate drones the size of Bulkhead. It'll be a tight squeeze, but I should be able to get out. Plan makes sense. But what if Prime leaves without us? I will not. You have my solemn vow.
Grimlock locks eyes with Optimus and nods.
Grimlock trusts Prime. Prime has honor.
We see a brief flashback to Grimlock and Prime's first meeting. The then Autobot lieutenant, as Sentinel was still in command, had arrived to seek Grimlock's aid in the war. Grimlock had remained neutral up until that point, but said that any who could defeat him in single combat would earn his loyalty. Optimus had agreed, and the two engaged in a brief brawl, one in which Optimus used his smaller size and gladiatorial training he had received from Megatron before the war to best Grimlock. This scene shows only the highlights of that encounter, but it plays out in a similar manner to the fight between Grimlock and Prime in the original movie, just with Grimlock in robot mode for the duration and Prime not threatening to kill him at the end. Flashback to the present, where past Grimlock and present Grimlock say the same phrase.
Grimlock will follow you, Optimus.